Hello everyone, thank you for joining us at this news hour on Équinoxe television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babler Jonathan. The socio-political and security situation in the crisis-stricken northwest and southwest regions of the Republic of Cameroon remains unstable and worsening according to some observers. Insecurity and Operation Ghost Town still hindering school resumption in several remote areas. A fire incident in Kosala in Kumba 2 subdivision, Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon is attributed to a gun battle between alleged pro-independence fighters and security and defense forces. And in news out of the Republic of Cameroon, Mali's military government has called Ivory Coast to request for a regional meeting on Ivorian troops held in Mali intimidation, and Ivory Coast has been accusing Mali of holding its troops hostage. At least 3 shops consumed by wild flames in Kosala neighborhood, Kumbato subdivision, Meme Division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. Inhabitants have attributed the fire incident to a gun battle between alleged pro-independence fighters and security and defense forces last night. Manjikan Gabriel has in details.
Inhabitants of Kosala neighborhood in Kumbato subdivision in shock after waking up to discover the casualties that occurred in their locality on Thursday night, breaking Friday. A food provision store that operates a grinding machine saw all its contents reduced into ashes, while a mechanic workshop also lost important parts in stock and a bar that was completely destroyed. One of the victims says it was in the night that she got information about the fire in the store. We were in the quarter when suddenly we started hearing gunshots and there was no way to run. Minutes later, my neighbors told me that my store was in flames. I couldn't come out because the whole place was militarized. Everything I have in my store is gone. According to the divisional officer of Kumbato subdivision, Edwin Kenangwana, he confirmed that alleged separatist fighters attacked the military base of Kosala on Thursday night, which caused the gun battle, but the divisional officer told us that the fire wasn't related to the gun battle. Because of the shootout, it was difficult for people to put off the flames. The material lost as a result of the fire incident is estimated to cost about 13 million francs CFA.
A child between the age between 6 and 7 years old is subjected to torture in Makepe Lumiere here in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. The child was severely beaten by an individual. It is not clear why the child was beaten by the individual, and of course we are still getting information that the child is in severe pains as we speak now, and the child has incurred several injuries, as you can see on the body of the child, as a result of the beating. And this occurred in the Makepe Lumiere in the Douala 5 subdivision earlier today, and this has attracted widespread condemnation from neighbors and of course child right activists, who shall be digging more into this. We'll be bringing to you more updates and greater details on this incident in the Douala 5 subdivision. Health officials in the west region of the Republic of Cameroon stepping up the war against illegal sale of drugs in that part of the country, and they have launched an operation to seize all illegally sold drugs along the streets in the town of Bafoussam and other areas. And the health officials were also meeting recently in Chang to find solutions to the multiple health challenges that the region is facing. Anabila reports.
In the west region of Cameroon, over 40 active COVID-19 cases have been reported and 160 cholera cases are being treated in 4 health districts. In the midst of low living standards, the resurgence of these ailments, especially in Chang, could be one of the reasons the number of roadside drug vendors increase on a daily basis in the Menua. Health centers too are said to be involved in selling medications of doubtful quality.
La région va effectuer désormais des inspections au niveau de formation sanitaire.
The region will begin inspections in health centers, seize and destroy those drugs sold beside the road. Our mayors should also stop allocating counters in markets for roadside drug vendors.
Nos maires cessent de louer les comptoirs aux vendeurs de faux médicaments.
Celui qui vend le mauvais médicament vend du poison.
The West Regional Delegation for Health has launched a fight against the sales of roadside drugs.
Pour demander aux populations de ne plus s'approvisionner dans la rue.
We are calling on the population not to buy roadside drugs because they never cure anybody. Instead, roadside drugs aggravate your health situation. After consuming them, you would have to still go to the hospital. They can even cost you your life.
Finalement, en mourir.
Medics continue to dissuade people from roadside drug consumption. Fake drugs most often are poorly conserved and expiry dates not respected. Roadside drugs can harm your system and lead to death in worst cases.
And health officials are also fighting the issue of fake COVID-19 vaccination cards, and they have been training health personnel on how to properly check this document and ensure that they are authentic each time they are presented by Cameroonians, especially those who want to travel abroad. And the health personnel have been trained on how to cross-check the new biometric solution that's been established to solve this problem of fake COVID-19 vaccination documents. Details with Immaculate Fowe.
This is an example of a biometric vaccination card. It will henceforth be distributed in vaccination centers across the Republic of Cameroon. This card will be checked by health workers stationed in airports in the country. The objective is to safeguard all information with regards to the vaccines received.
Yeah, we're here today for a seminar, and the seminar will be to teach the people at the airport how to use a vaccination card, which is a new technology that has been put in place by the government of Cameroon, and through it many people will have the facility of having their vaccination put together in one place, that should in case they lost their vaccination card, they are able to have back all the data, since as it is secure at the vaccination center and inside their card.
Health personnel working in airports and heads of vaccination centers have been drilled on how to use the application Vax Santé Cameroon. This as part of government's effort of data digitalization, which will go a long way to facilitate identification and equally making it trustworthy.
Now to government bilingual high school, Fumbot in the Noon Division West region of the Republic of Cameroon. The school is suffering from an exponential increase in its enrollment as a result of internally displaced school-going children who have moved over from the northwest region of the country, and the school is now overpopulated beyond its capacity, and the school officials are now demanding that something should be done by the education authorities to help them accommodate the IDPs who've moved over from the northwest region of the country and are seeking refuge in that part of the west region. Lori Malak reports.
These are students of different classes in a classroom separated by plywood. We are in Government High School Fumbot, West Region of Cameroon. Here, the school suffers from overpopulation. The situation is further compounded by the presence of the internally displaced persons from the northwest and southwest region.
You see, with the internally displaced, the school is overpopulated. And you see, if you go to some of the classes, you see that the norms that the government gave is not respected because of the internally displaced. And we lack benches. We still lack another extension of classrooms to host the internally displaced.
The limited classrooms and benches adversely affects teachers and students.
My name is Nangwin Precious. I'm a student of Form 3 Length, and this class is divided into two. So we find difficulties to teach, to learn, because our teachers are also finding difficulties to learn because they are confused. When they're teaching, they are confused, and the other students in the other classes are making noise. And so they need to go and see the discipline master to come and control them.
Parents and Teachers Association have, however, contributed to build some classrooms, though the school administration says they still need government intervention to facilitate the learning process of the students for the academic year 2022-2023.
The court hearing of the case of militants of the CRM political party who have been detained has been adjourned to October 20, 2022, and the hearing at the appeal court of the Central Region of Cameroon yesterday saw the presence of the national president of the CRM political party, Professor Maurice Kamto. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
It was an impressive security disposition at the Central Court of Appeal in Yaoundé within the hearing of the detainees of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement political party, the CRM. Judged and sentenced by the military tribunal, the CRM party supporters secured an appeal at the Central Court of Appeal. A September the 5th, 2022 hearing that lasted for a few hours and got adjourned to October the 20th, 2022 for problems linked to distortions in the dates of notifications. Barrister Hippolyte Meli, coordinator of the collective Sylvain Swap, a group of lawyers defending detainees of the CRM political party, say there were distortions in dates which in reality outline inconsistencies.
Les dimanches, et c'est toutes ces distorsions qui ont fait que la défense sollicite le report de cause pour vérifier.
The national president, Professor Maurice Kamto, has announced, took up his role and position of lawyer to defend his party supporters and sympathizers. His arrival and departure from the Court of Appeal in Yaoundé was characterized by energetic chants from his party supporters who turned out en masse. It was a total of 5 different trials involving CRM party leaders like Professor Alain Fogue, Awaso Mispa, Olivier Bibouni Sak, Zambwe Pascal, and 35 others.
Out of the Republic of Cameroon, Mali's military government has called Ivory Coast a request for a regional meeting on Ivorian troops detained in Mali since July. Intimidation and blackmail. Ivory Coast accuses Mali of holding its troops hostage. The Mali government's official statement says that it is in no way concerned by Ivory Coast's request to hold a meeting with regional bloc ECOWAS over the detained troops, and the statement was read on state television station ORTN by government spokesperson and interim Prime Minister Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga and posted to the station's Facebook page. And Maiga said the transitional government, while reiterating its attachment to peace, security and age-old good neighborly relations, specifies that for the respect of its sovereignty, its national security and the interests of its people, it will yield to neither blackmail nor intimidation. In the Federal Republic of Nigeria, oil cartel OPEC reports that the country is facing a record reduction in oil production, dropping from the first largest producer in Africa to the fourth behind Angola, Algeria, and Libya. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries monthly monthly oil market report for August showed that Nigeria's production stood at 980,000 barrels a day, a decline of more than 100,000 barrels per day compared to July. The figure was about 50% of OPEC's target for the West African nation. In August, for decades, Nigeria has been Africa's largest oil producer, but in recent years, theft and sabotage of production sites have hampered output. Petroleum authorities say more than 200,000 barrels are lost daily as a result, and that the trend is costing the country millions of dollars in revenue. And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Before we go to talking points, news just streaming in now from Limbe, southwest region of the Republic concerning the Interpols. A reporter, Davidson Maimo, who's been following up this, says that the southwest the southwest flag bearer, Victoria United, is striving to make it big in this competition. His report.
Southwest Regional Representative in the ongoing National Interpol, currently taking place in the seaside resort city of Limbe, Victoria United, alias Opopo, is bent to pick up an Elite 2 ticket after playing 3 matches with 2 victories, a draw, and 0 defeat.
Players, we are together now. Our best to take this down to football competition.
I think the players are going to continue like this. Pray we'll get into the Elite 2 league here.
And I want to congratulate the entire Victoria United team, and especially congratulations to the president of the team.
Elite of the region are mobilizing resources to push the team through.
The Minister of Secondary Education, Madame Nalova Lyonga PhD, sent me with a very heavy envelope, and that they should make Limbe proud.
The team management say every support shall boost the players' morals and push the team to Elite 2.
Financial assistance is very timely because Interpol is not an easy tournament. There are so many financial obligations.
This support is a big gesture to boost our team. As an elite, we are not going to let her down.
We promise to qualify to bring her the Elite 2.
Everything being equal, the National Interpol, currently taking place in Limbe, is going on hitch-free.
Coming up right away, talking point. Our guest today is Valen Tazo Teke. He's a quality, health, safety and environment expert. He's a certified risk analyst, certified operational risk manager, and the CEO of Venta Investments Company Limited. Thank you for joining us today. And we're going to be discussing issues about cleanliness, or better still, poor management of waste within our communities. And we're talking about this issue on the occasion of the World Cleanup Day, which is celebrated 17 September every year. That's going to be celebrated tomorrow. And the World Cleanup Day unites millions of volunteers, governments and organizations in 191 countries to tackle the global waste problem and build up the new and sustainable world. And it is within this context that we're going to be discussing issues about the global waste management problem with our guests. Now, first question: how serious is the problem of poor waste management in Cameroon, in Africa, and the globe?
Waste management has many facets in terms of pollution, and they have their repercussions on the health of the population, the environment, and equally on animals, the sea, and the whole ecosystem. The waste that is actually disposed on the streets have a real impact on the human life in such a way that we can do a whole thesis on it and do elaboration of the impact that it causes on the whole ecosystem. As I can just explain, if you look at the waste that is dropped poorly somewhere, it has to drip into the soil. It goes right deep down and affects the sewage that is being harnessed as what we call forage that people drink. It will go into the water that the humans use to wash, to bathe, and so on and so forth. And the birds that are equally supposed to be feeding on drinking water, or animals that are drinking water or drink poor water, and so on and so forth. So if sewage is poorly managed, especially papers, that is wrapping papers, polythene, it actually has a negative impact on animals and the whole ecosystem. As in agriculture, it's a whole, like I said, a thesis that if you want to develop, the repercussions on the human life and the ecosystem are so devastating and negative.
Now, what can possibly explain the fact that we have waste almost everywhere, especially in Cameroon's major cities, particularly in the slums?
Waste management is a global problem, and Cameroon in particular, especially Douala and Yaoundé, or the major cities, are not an exception, especially as the space to even manage this waste is a challenging task. And I think the problem that is making it so glaring and so challenging is the strategy that has been put in place by the powers that be, the government, and even all the citizens and the private sector to manage this waste from the inception, from the place where the waste is being produced up to where it is supposed to be disposed. And I think the major challenge that we have is a matter of mentality change, which is supposed to be the foundation of how this waste is supposed to be managed. In other countries and other specialized organizations where waste is well managed, industrial waste is treated in a particular way, domestic waste is treated in a particular way, and waste that comes from the hospital is treated in a particular way. But then from the step one, when the waste is produced, there are particular buckets, that is separation of the cans that are supposed to be collecting the waste, wherein paper waste is put in a different can, waste that is degradable is produced in a different can, broken bottles are put in a different can, papers are put into that is plastic papers, polythene are put in a different can. And when the collecting company comes to collect this waste, they have a particular channels that they put this waste inside, and which will be equally treated in a particular way. But here in Cameroon and in Douala and Yaoundé, the waste are collected just as a junk. And when all these junk are mixed with plastic papers, cans and broken bottles and banana peelings and all those things, it makes the waste become very complex to manage. And the disposal of this waste in Cameroon is a real problem, because the collecting companies just carry the waste and go and dump them in Bois de Seiche and dump them on the way to Soie, and which in other countries is a primary initial product to use for fertilizer and biofuel and other interesting products that can be used for the benefit of humanity. So the bottom line, I think, is a problem of sensitization, mentality change, which if we as the citizens of a country of this nature change our mentality, we can manage the waste. This is where our campaign for sensitization of the public, commemorating the Global Day for Cleanup, is coming in, and we are believing that when we will go around to make our Cameroonians to believe that when you are in a taxi eating your groundnuts, eating your corn, you don't need to just send your hand through the window and flash the dirt on the streets, but you need to hold them and then have a discipline to go and put them where they can be disposed.
We have been talking about this problem online, but it seems to be more crucial, more serious at the level of water bodies, from streams to rivers, lakes, seas, the ocean. The problem seems to be much more serious there.
If you look at all the streams, the local streams that are around Douala here, there's no way that somebody can collect water from there to drink, because of waste that has been indiscriminately disposed in the environment, and they all run to to the water bodies and make them practically unusable for the human system. And like I said in the introduction, it affects not only humans but animals and equally birds that are supposed to be depending on this whole precious liquid called water. And the most complicated part of it is the fact that we drill water, and when this water goes right down, and what we drill around our vicinities we call wells. We carry water from there, which due to the water shortage that the country is facing at this moment, some people have no choice than to be drinking this water from the wells. And the waste that we use, both chemical, domestic and industrial waste that we have, affects this water in such a way that the health of the humans, if you go to quarters where like the zone industrial, you will bear with me that the population there has been complaining all the time about the waste of those industries, of these companies is disposed. And when you carry water from there, all those people have scabies, skin diseases, and all the women around there have infections in their private parts due to the water that they use to bathe. So the issue of waste disposal in a city, in a country of like our own, is so sensitive in a way that if we don't handle it, every day we'll be finding ourselves in the hospital and we'll be losing our population, especially the youth or the younger ones, as they get born, because it is no way that an economy can be strong with a population that is sick.
And now the question is how to handle it. What is the best way to go about looking for solutions to this problem?
It is a collective effort both by the government, by the citizens, the civil society, and even the private companies that are specialized in this domain, including us. And we, at the level of collection, we have instituted training at the level of our staff. We have instituted training at the level of our partners, our customers, on the processes of how this waste can be collected. And then, unfortunately, when it is collected in the organized manner or the professional prescribed way of collection, when the garbage collecting company that comes with their car to collect this waste, they don't have processes that have been put in place to collect the waste in the recommended processes that have been put in place, so that the industrial garbage waste and hard broken bottles, plastics are treated and collected and treated in a particular way. So they garbage and gather all this waste and go and dump them in one place, which is not a place that is even professionally organized or set up to handle this waste in following international norms. I think at the level of our own company, our Department of Research and Development have been carrying on some studies and have done some movements out of the country to Brazil, to Rwanda, to Ghana, and to Morocco, to actually see how waste is being managed there. And we have some knowledge and some technical partners which we are doing exchanges with the Ministry of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, the Environment and Industry and Technological Development, to ensure that the processes, the licenses that are given to the companies that do waste management in Cameroon should be pushed a bit forward to see how these companies can be more professional in the waste management and the processes put in place such that this waste should not be collected and just dumped somewhere, which is equally causing an impact to the environment, but they should be pushed forward to produce either fertilizer or biofuel. I think we have projects at the level of these ministries, and we pray that in the nearest future the government should be able to upgrade to the level where this waste will be managed and processed in such a way that the byproduct or the end product should be useful to humanity rather than just dropping in the environment that will cause havoc to the whole ecosystem.
You are a specialist. What have you and other specialists like you been doing, particularly to change mindsets in order to reduce the problem of indiscriminate waste disposal around the community? And I think this should be the first time. You talked about sensitization earlier. This should be the first time you're going out to meet the people to sensitize them on this issue.
This is the first event of Global Cleanup Day that Venture Investments Company and the stakeholders are coming up on board to initiate this initiative in Cameroon, or this project in Cameroon. And we believe that this first edition is going to be an eye-opener to the powers that be, to the eye-opener to the population, eye-opener to all the citizens of Cameroon, and we believe that the next edition will be much more better, and all of us will rise one day to say no to waste. And if, like what I saw in Ghana, if you are in a taxi and you drop waste or a paper from a taxi, another taxi will come and block you, and the person who is in that taxi will go down and pick that piece of paper from the road, and everybody in the car will shout at you, and you will be very, very ashamed. Same thing in Rwanda. In Kigali, you can't drop a piece of paper on the road. But here in Cameroon, the disorder is still there, but I believe that with sensitization, one day we're going to get to a point where when one person drops a piece of paper on the road, somebody can be angry, and the person is surrounded and called to order to go down and pick the dirt and go drop in the trash, in the appropriate trash can.
Now tell us a little more about the consequences of poor waste management on human health.
A dirty environment is a very uncomfortable environment naturally for a living, and with its repercussions, health impact on the human life. The World Health Organization statistics, let me take the case of malaria. There are other diseases that come around as a result of a dirty environment. When we dispose our waste poorly in the environment, it brings about it gives a very conducive environment for cockroaches to grow. It gives a very good environment for mosquitoes, house flies, and all other parasites, that disease-causing parasites, to grow in the environment, and then it reinfest or infest our house. And when we live with those things around in the house, it is but obvious that we cannot have a very healthy environment. So we know that when a rat is in the house, the urine of rat is a real cause for diseases that are with devastating consequences on the human life. We're just from coming out from the COVID pandemic. We thought that maybe we are free from it, but here is cholera again knocking our doors, and we're the other time crying from other diseases that are very complex to manage because of the viruses that we don't see, which are microbes, because of bacteria that we don't see, which are microbes, and we come to see even mosquitoes that are cockroaches, that are things that grow around that we can see with our two eyes. So if we take those statistics for malaria, we discover that in 2020, according to the World Health Organization, 241 million people were affected globally of malaria, and out of that number, 627,000 persons died of malaria in 2020. Out of that number, 95% was in Africa, and 96% of those deaths were actually in Africa, and 80% of that number that died were for children below 5 years. So you know how painful it can be for a mother to carry a child in her womb for 9 months and then come and lose it to a small insect called a female Anopheles mosquito. So a dirty environment brings about all these unwanted parasites that affect our health negatively. The reason for our campaign, the disease prevention and health optimization campaign that we are leading this day, today, the 16th of September 2022, and tomorrow we are continuing with the caravan to make the population to know that we are living in a dirty environment. We are actually putting our health in danger.
COVID-19 is still there, and the Minister of Public Health and other public health authorities have continued calling on the population to respect the barrier measures put in place by the government and the World Health Organization, and even going ahead with the training of personnel on how to check the vaccination, the COVID-19 vaccination cards, in order to ensure that there's no fraud, and of course to ensure that data is well secured. Now, coming back to this problem of poor waste management, what about poor hygienic work environments?
That is even the most sensitive place, because in Cameroon, when we talk of the gross domestic product of the country, we are counting the working population and the productivity of that population. In a company, a worker comes to the office and is supposed to be there maybe for 8 working hours. And you bear with me that if somebody is absent for 1 hour, the financial impact on that company is so costly, because you don't know when they find that the person will be treating. I'll take a very good example. We know that COVID is gone. So we enter in the office now, some people tell you don't need to wear a mask, you don't need to put on a mask. And we believe that after COVID, we should not believe that all is well, and that had been our fight from day one that the company was created, to create awareness on the fact that when we open the door, when you send your hand to open the door handles, you send your fingers in your nose, and then you wipe your hands like this. When somebody comes, you greet the person. When you touch the door handles, you enter into the toilet, you open the tap, the head of the tap, you touch it, and then when you are going, when you touch other utensils, the calculator, the keyboard, the mouse, are things that you touch in the office which are infected. And if these things are not disinfected with appropriate products by an appropriate trained professional or the company, I can bet you that you will not have a constantly productive staff. And when somebody is sick, he will contaminate the other person, and not only you will have a very uncomfortable environment where somebody enters and the office is not clean, is not having a good fragrance, but it's going to cause a lot of health degrade, to have a worker, a staff that is not having is not up to standard when it comes to the requirements to give good production for the company. So I think the cleaning is not only for households, it's not only for streets, but equally for companies that know what it means. And that's why we see some very credible companies even go further to see what their staff drink as water. And it is but normal that if a company values their workers, they should be able to see that the environment is clean to avoid these infections being contaminating the workers, not only their workers, but their partners and the customers that even visit the place. Cleaning is the fundamental thing for every company, for every home, for every humanity, for every citizen to adopt, because that's the best way to avoid illness and to stay in good health.
Now, how should the cleaning be done according to recommended standards?
We can fumigate, we can disinfect, we can actually spray and do pest control of these disease-causing insects and parasites and reptiles that can cause diseases, to make people actually to live in a comfortable way, and the economy will be made of a very healthy population that can be productive to add to our gross domestic product. I think in the nutshell, the poor management of wealth, the poor management of waste, and the fact that we live in our home with rats equally have their impact that is not only on health and equally on fire. A rat can eat 2 cables that will cause fire in a home, which you not know. Immediately you go and change the same cable, they will come and eat, and fire will still come back again. So all these unwanted pests that we live with, if you look at a wall gecko, goes to lick, send its ugly tongue to lick your toothbrush each time you put it on the wall in the night. And when you come in the morning, you pick that same toothbrush, you put in your mouth, you're brushing your teeth, you don't know what has happened in the night. And before you discover you have a disease that is affecting you and you don't know where it is coming from. Statistics were coming from a report that is research that was carried on by the Lakentini Hospital on the fact that the high rate of epilepsy cases in Ambam is due to the fact that there's a particular mosquito that is growing in that river that bites the population, and when they bite the population, it sends a very toxic substance that affects the brain of the children, and when they grow up, they start developing epileptic fits that make the population to be very, very unproductive. So you can discover that because of that dirty environment, insects, unwanted parasites develop themselves and they affect humans in a way that we cannot all the time protect them by using mosquito nets. So we are proposing a preventive measure that is sure and ecologically profitable, and using biodegradable products that can actually prevent the population from having these things. And we want to say that if every family subscribe to this product that we're putting on the market or to these services, they are going to reduce their hospital budget by almost 60%. subscribe and test, and you will know that the money that you were supposed to spend in the hospital to treat your children or your family for the whole year, you will be reduced it by just subscribing to 2 interventions or 3 interventions a year into your home in terms of spraying and pest control. That is the campaign that we're carrying on to make the population to know that you don't have to throw waste anyhow. You do have to equally ensure that even if you eat in your home and there's bread that has fallen on the floor, cockroaches, mosquitoes will come, and the only way out to prevent is to spray the home several times so that the population can be healthy. So waste is a problem, but we can manage if we want and change our mentality to actually have a way forward.
Venlan Tazo, take care, quality health, safety and environment expert, certified risk analyst and certified operational risk manager. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, dear viewers, for staying with us. That's it for this weekend edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Équinoxe television. Do stay with us and have a nice time in the company of our programs. Serge 2 will be coming your way in less than 20 minutes with Équinoxe Soir, live from Cameroon's political capital, Yaoundé.
Équinoxe Télévision.